They need food, housing, clothing. They need counseling. They need understanding of what's happened to them. They need an identity. They need to know the truth about the Lord. They need to be woke up to who the devil is. That's a white man. That's what the hell they need. And you add that to black people, Latinos, and Native Indians, brother, then you're going to be able to do something. The whole reason I'm here saying these things to you, because these things are supposed to show you and give you hope. It's supposed to make you say to yourself, you know what, we got a kingdom coming. You know what, the Lord's judgment is coming. You know what, let's change our life.
All right. Let's clap it up. Welcome to the One West News Desk. This is where the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge started out of One West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yohana. This is the One West News Desk under Captain Saparia and Officer Matham Shikaya. I'm holding it down for Captain Saparia today, and we're going to go through some little bit of news articles. We're going to find out what's happening in the news today. Let's see what's happening. First article, you understand? Of course, America is being destroyed, literally destroyed on all fronts. America is using Ukraine as a proxy. Ukraine is utterly being destroyed by Russia. All of this propaganda that America is putting out here is making it seem like America's on top, America's handling this business, but it is not. In turn, America has set a 500% tariff on Russia. Now, when we think about tariffs, right, what is a tariff? A lot of us really don't even know what a tariff is, but when you go to the supermarket and the prices go up, you begin to understand what a tariff is. When you go pick up that new car, or when you going out and you buying new clothes and things like that, you begin to find out what tariffs are. You understand? Tariffs are something on what? What is it saying?
She said that she's on her way, and she's asking if someone will be back.
The door's already open. She should be able to get in. That's why I propped the door open. The door's propped open. She'd be okay. But anyway, tariffs are something that you feel in the store. And tariffs are a reverse psychology thing. A tariff is not placed on a country that they point at and say, we putting tariffs on you. A tariff is a double reverse, meaning that they point at that country and say, we putting tariffs on them, but it actually comes back to the consumer of the country that's putting the tariff on the other country. You understand? So when America points at a tariff and say they putting a tariff on somebody, they're really putting a tax on the United States, the people of the United States. The people who live in this country, we are the ones who feel those tariffs. Russia could care less. Russia operates on its own. Russia does not need anything from America. It does not need to sell America anything because it's in a BRICS coalition, and it's also has other countries that it deals with. So anything that America doesn't want to buy from Russia, Russia has other countries it can sell it to. You understand? This is why the prices are going up on everything in the grocery stores, whether you're a consumer, you going to Home Depot, whether you're going out to restaurants, any place like that. You understand? Tariffs hit us. Tariffs hit us and nobody else. You understand? I'm going to read this article. 500. This is from the Business Today. 500% tariffs. U.S. Senator targets Russia oil trade partners. India also in the crosshairs. Now think about this, right? Like I said, Russia's in the BRICS coalition. It deals with other countries outside of America. It's also putting a tariff on India. India is also in BRICS. India has other countries that it deals with, so that when America places tariffs on them, it's a cushion. It's not what it seems to be. And countries are getting fed up with America. America is just what it is. America is a democracy. A democracy has never been anything good. A democracy is just like Christianity. It's spread by the sword. This sword just happens to be tariffs right now. Usually America goes in and pushes itself on other countries by the sword. But at this point right here, it's using tariffs. Tariffs is a sword swung back at the person who's swinging and chopping their own head off. Trump is swinging the sword of tariffs, and it's swinging back and chopping his own head off because we are the ones who are feeling the tariff. I'll read this article. The bill spearheaded by Senator Richard Blumenthal. At the same time, the people who are pushing out all of these tariffs are also millionaires and billionaires. What do they care if tariffs and taxes hit the American citizens? What do they care? They don't, because they have all the money that they need, and tariffs do not affect them. It only affects American citizens. This is the reason why the Most High told us, and when I say us, I'm speaking of Israel, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and natives. He told us not to put anyone over thee that he did not choose, especially someone who is not from the tribe of Israel, not from the 12 tribes. Someone that the Most High did not choose, and someone who is not from the 12 tribes. These people are incompetent. They don't understand how to run a country. You understand? And this is the reason why the Most High created the world. He created the earth or the world for our sake. We should be running this. We should be running the earth right now. But instead, because we have given up our seat, look who's running the country and look what's happening. These are the things that happen when we are disobedient to the Most High. Let's read this article. The bill spearheaded by Senator Richard Blumenthal would impose 500% tariffs on all countries purchasing Russian oil, gasoline, petrochemical, or petrochemicals. That means 500% tariffs on India and on China, which buys 70% of these goods, and on anyone else who continues these purchases, Blumenthal said. Listen, understand this, right? The three of the main countries that are in the BRICS, they just pulled up and tried to put 500% tariffs. That's something that they just brushed off right there, because they have already obsoleted America already anyway. They don't care what America does. They don't care about the tariffs or anything like that. America is free falling right now. You understand? We are actually watching the descent of an empire. Whenever an empire begins to crumble and begins to fall, the people of that empire don't notice. There are some people within that empire that do notice, but most of them are always the wealthy and the rich, and they could care less. You understand? Just as the USSR, when the USSR, now known as Russia, when it fell back in 1990 or 91, no one before that in 89 or 88 saw Russia falling. You understand? Or the USSR falling. Any country that falls, you understand? Any country that falls, even Japan, when Japan fell, you understand? Nobody knew. Nobody understood. The Roman Empire, you understand? The Babylonian Empire, all of those empires, the Assyrian Empire, all of these empires fall. People don't know it until the fall begins to happen. You understand? And right now, we're looking at America crumble. Let's see here. Now, oh, come on. Don't do this to me. hate this. I gotta go back out. There we go. Let me see. There we go. There we go. This is great. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Standing on Ukrainian soil, U.S. Senator Richard Blumenthal called for a bold economic offensive against Russia, a 500% tariff on any nation that continues buying Russian oil. And the thing about it, right? Think about this. They're telling them not to buy the Russian oil, or they'll put a 500% tariff on them. And if you don't buy the Russian oil, then you still have to pay almost 3 to 4 times as much as Russian oil. You understand? So it's damned if you do and damned if you don't. You don't buy the Russian oil and you buy the oil from the United States, and you're still paying 3 or 4 times as much as the oil. United States oil is already high as it can be anyway. United States doesn't have many industries and many things to put out there that it can use as leverage against any country. And this is the reason why America uses tariffs. But a tariff, like I said before, is like a double reverse. America uses the tariff, but the tariff eventually comes back to clock America in the forehead. You understand? America is not built on any industries anymore. Used to be built on the auto industry, used to be the steel industry, it used to be textiles and things like that, but those things are no more. All of those things, the autos, the textiles, the steel and things like that, all of those things come from China. A lot of the oil comes from Russia. So what are we talking about? You understand? What is America using to leverage with? Using us, the citizens, or the so-called citizens of America. You understand? It says a 500% tariff on any nation that continues buying Russian oil, gasoline, or petrochemicals. The proposal revealed during a press conference in Kyiv aims to choke the Kremlin's war chest and ratchet up pressure on global buyers like China and India. And China and India does not need America. There is nothing that America can do for China or India, especially with it dealing with the partners and the different other nations that it's dealing with. China and India does not need, just like Russia. Russia could care less, and China could care less either. You understand? So that's a bunch of hogwash. You understand? We're just going to be the ones to feel it. Next time you go out for that breakfast in the morning, and you see the egg prices going up, or you see the sausage prices or the turkey sausage or whatever you eating, the prices go up. You go into the store trying to buy clothes and you see prices are jacked up sky high. Now you understand what a tariff is. A tariff is nothing but a tax on the country of the people putting out the tariff. That's all it is. You understand? So the next time you listening, if you watch CNN or if you watch Bloomberg News or any kind of thing like that, and they begin to talk about tariffs, and they talking about tariffs that they're putting on other countries, just know that those tariffs don't affect that country as much as it does the country putting out the tariff. Now, Russia has other countries that if America doesn't buy the oil from, they got other countries they can push oil to. So it doesn't really bother them. You understand? Doesn't really bother them, so they could care less. All right. Let's see here. What do we got here? Al-Azhar said he about 15 minutes away, too. Okay. All right. Let's go down. Look at this. This is Lindsey Graham right here speaking on the same thing, imposing 500% tariffs on nations that trade with Russia will backfire. Now, Lindsey Graham understands. You understand? Lindsey Graham understands that a tariff will backfire. That's just the way a tariff is set up. A tariff is just a secret way of a country getting more taxes from the people that live in that country. That's it. A tariff, it slightly affects the country that they putting it on. But if you're a country that deal with other countries and can sell whatever you're trying to sell to other countries to make up the difference, doesn't affect you at all. You understand? It doesn't affect you at all. So let's see what Lindsey Graham, if Lindsey Graham's bill were to pass, it would cause an economic calamity on a scale never before seen in our country. Let's read up on this. While tariffs make wars more likely, embargoes make wars difficult to avoid. Senator Lindsey Graham's Sanctioning Russia Act calls for 500% tariffs on a dozen of countries and essentially amounts to an embargo. If the bill were to pass, it would cause an economic calamity on a scale never before seen in our country. And listen to it. This is just what it's talking about. So I'm guessing Lindsey Graham thinks he has an idea of how to affect these other countries and make them, bend the knee to America. In its instance that Moscow be a permanent enemy of the United States, for the foreign policy establishment is pushing to impose more punitive measures on Russia should they refuse to negotiate a peace deal with Ukraine. The Sanctioning Russia Act seeks to inflict a series of additional sanctions and prohibitions of various financial transactions with Russia. Listen, they've already stole, if I'm not mistaken, Russia had equity in America. It had not equity, but it had money in America that was taken by America. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was $300 million, 300 million or something like that. Something that they said that they were going to use for the Ukraine war to give to Ukraine so that Ukraine could purchase weapons and different things like that. So they've already taken the money that Russia had established in America. And what do they call it? I cannot remember. But anyway, it's why America uses the dollar to cover everything. And what countries do is countries cash in and use the U.S. dollar, and it's kept in U.S. banks or what's the big bank called? What's the bank called? World Bank. The World Bank. There we go. The World Bank. It's the World Bank. And the thing about it is America can dip into the World Bank and take money from any country that it wants using the World Bank. Every nation was using the World Bank. So sanctions are easy to put on a nation or country that you want when they're using your banking system. And this is what a lot of nations are trying to get out of now. They're trying to get rid of that equity that they had in the United States and flip it over into their, you know, monetary system. They're trying to flip it over to their monetary system so that America doesn't have the power that it has to take from other countries whenever it feels that it can. You understand? Let's see. It says the Sanctioning Russia Act seeks to inflict a series of additional sanctions and prohibitions of various financial transactions with Russia. Yet the most consequential and outright reckless provision of the bill seeks to enact minimum 500% secondary tariffs on countries who trade with Russia. Though the bill seeks to punish Russia, it will also punish America's allies and even the United States itself. The global policemen in Washington are so incredulous that they cannot force peace between Russia and Ukraine, that they formally abandon even the pretense that their meddling is in America's interest. Listen, their meddling has always been in America's interest. America doesn't care about any nation, any peace talks or anything like that from any other nation. You understand? Oh, I think I froze. Did we freeze? Did we freeze? Is it still?
Oh, there you go.
Okay, let me go back.